Hi everybody, and welcome back to FANG Friday. This is Ross Healy, the chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and a senior portfolio manager at McNichol & Associates Asset Management. Last week, we left 3 of the FANG stocks hanging right at key breakpoint values: Amazon, Apple, and Netflix. And we also took a look at Nvidia, which was looking very much as if it was rolling over. Well, I have to report that all 3 did back off from those breakpoints, meaning that for now, at least, we are not looking at an immediately impending breakout and possible buy signal from any of those stocks. Interestingly, Nvidia actually fell back precisely to a key breakpoint at its HB4 price level before enjoying a rebound. Anyway, today we will take a quick look at the semiconductor industry to see if it's trying to do something. In the meantime, of course, our 3 Phantom FANG portfolio members remain solidly ensconced in upside trends and in that portfolio. Before we take a close look at the FANGs, however, as always, I do want to say thanks to everyone who likes this video and all our subscribers. We really appreciate every single like. Okay, let's start off with Amazon, and of course Amazon rallied right up to its HB3 here, which you can see, and failed to get through. Although, if I apply a technical breakpoint, in other words, this dotted line here, you'll see that actually there is a possibility that standard technical analysis is saying that something may be about to happen with Amazon. However, first it's got to get through its HB3. Apple, same story, right up to its HB5 and set back. Whether it will be able to break out or not, of course, partially depends on what happens in this quarter, but also, frankly, with the longer term outlook as well. And lastly, Netflix, as you know, a stock which I really do not care a great deal about, for also went right up to its HB3, but has actually really suffered a fair setback since then. So it has not been able to break out and doesn't look as if it's going to be able to either. Now, our 3 Phantom FANG portfolio stocks are all heading higher, and in fact today our Alphabet is having a superb day. I think it's up very close to 3% today, so it's very clearly up and over and on to new highs, heading towards its bubble price, where of course we'll have to see what happens there. Facebook, remember we talked about this last week, and it had kind of set back a little bit, and it was sort of struggling there almost. Well, today it's up 6% and at a brand new high. So Facebook is kind of underlining my confidence in that stock, and looks very much as if it's heading for its bubble price. And finally, good old Microsoft just kind of soldiering on. It's not that it's up 3 or 4 or 5% today, but it is up a nice sort of 1.25% to a new high. So it just continues to soldier on, making high after high after high. Now, Nvidia. Well, remember last week we were looking at the stock rolling over, and indeed it rolled over and plunged right down to its HB4 price. Okay, and I remember I said last week, maybe, if it gets there, there will be a trading opportunity. I said, I'm not going to be taking advantage of it, but look, there was a beautiful trading opportunity, and indeed the stock has rallied from that dead low some 10%. Now, I thought this week I would just quickly go through the semiconductor industry and show you why I'm kind of concerned about the semiconductors generally, and of course leading me to say, what on earth is Nvidia doing up here? Well, the first is Applied Material, broke down, it's rallying, but that isn't showing, I think, much vigor, as it were, from the longer term. Broadcom is banging up against its bubble price, but just has had no ability to break out, and that's over months and months and months when the market has been moving higher. So I don't know whether the stock will be able to move out here or not. Intel, same thing. It was been sitting on its floor, its mid-growth price, and late last week it just sort of, actually I think on Monday this week, dipped a little bit below before pulling back on side. We'll have to see, because this failure to do anything is a little bit concerning. And then, of course, we look at Micron Technology, and now we understand why we are concerned, because Micron has actually broken down. And finally, not finally, we've got one more to go. Qualcomm, also after riding its HB3, sort of tucked down and broke below it very briefly on that break in the market on Monday. It's kind of moved back to its breakpoint at HB3 again, which is 16 times book, but it still hasn't shown any evidence that it wants to break out and go higher. And finally, Texas Instruments actually looks a lot like Micron, doesn't it? It sort of has broken down, kind of struggled up against its HB3, but it's more sort of oozing down than trying to break out. And you wonder why I look at Nvidia and say, what is that doing there, when the rest of the industry looks so weak? And that, of course, is one of the great advantages of SVA. You can look at an entire industry very quickly. So in summary, as of last week's FANG Friday, 3 of the FANGs had rallied right up to major breakpoints, and we were left hanging with the question, what now? Well, Amazon was right at its HB3 breakpoint. Jeff Bezos did come safely home from space, but still, the stock has backed off from its HB3, that's 16 times book. If the stock had been holding its breath, as I was, there has been a loud exhale. But investors will have to wait to see if anything else is around which could move the stock higher. Otherwise, it remains outside the pale of the Phantom FANG portfolio. Apple had a perfect hit at its HB5, 26 times book, but so far has only backed off, possibly waiting for their second quarter numbers to come in. Again, it's the longer term slowing outlook that really concerns me about this stock. Netflix, of course, had a perfect hit at its HB3 breakpoint, and so far has set back. Maybe video games will do it for their growth outlook, but I don't know. I frankly remain from Missouri for the longer term. As for Alphabet, Facebook, and Microsoft, it's steady as she goes. All 3 were marking time, and this week, all 3 have reached new highs. Our Phantom FANG portfolio is cooking with gas. Finally, Nvidia backed off smartly, right down precisely to its HB4, but since has bounced almost 10%. This week, I showed you one advantage of the SVA service, having a quick and easy industry comparison, and I took a very quick look at 6 other semiconductors: Applied Materials, Broadcom, Intel, Micron, Qualcomm, and Texas Instruments, and I still don't see what Nvidia is doing up here as high as it is. So all I can say is maybe that was the trading bottom, and some of you may have taken a swing at the stock when it hit at its perfect low. If so, you're braver and now richer than I am. I got to stop for a moment and tell you about a very early experience that I had with SVA when we were just launching our service in 1993. I think at that time we had exactly 4 clients at the time, when one of them called me up to fire me and their service. I still remember what he said. He said, clearly, Ross, you have too many clients. Because when I try to buy some stock at one of those setback moments, like Nvidia earlier this week, the stock just runs away from me because all of the buying that your clients are doing when the stock gets there. Well, with 4 clients, that wasn't exactly the case. But as you have seen in the past 2 years and counting, that's the way that the market works. Those SVA breakpoints can be incredibly powerful. Now, your takeaways for this week. First, the market scared the bejesus out of people on Monday. Our takeaway on our Tuesday client seminar was, don't worry, it was a random move and don't get concerned. So far, so good. I do have to tell you, however, that between breakpoint values, prices are random. And that goes for overall market prices as well. As far as the market peak is concerned, there's still a comfortable 15% roughly or so from here before we really have to worry. Second, last week I observed that we should definitely be watching to see how the FANGs are reacting to the market risk. And so far, 3 of them have reached new highs. 3 have rallied 2 key breakpoints, but so far have shown no tendency to do anything further. And 1 came off a new high, bounced down, but then rebounded nicely off that low on that quick setback. So, bottom line, I'm not strapping on my parachute as of yet. However, this is the reporting season, and you will want to stay tuned to see what impact the new FANG balance sheets will have on their valuation and their outlook. Finally, and I really want to emphasize this, with 15% or so to go for the overall U.S. market, and 3 FANG stocks reaching up but not over critical breakpoints, I cannot rule out the possibility that 1 or more of those 3s could still break out and give us a buying signal. So mark those breakpoints down and don't be caught flat-footed if 1 or more does break out between our weekly webinars and make a run for it. Anyway, for now, this has been Ross Healy, the Chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and a Senior Portfolio Manager at McNichol & Associates Asset Management, reminding you that nothing, including investing, is difficult if you have the right tools. I'll see you next Friday. Have a bullish week.